All right, so I've got games from today and games from tomorrow on this board for the final preview of the preseason, and I've got some roster news, and we'll probably have more roster news leak out during the day, and then into tomorrow as well. So we'll find out exactly who's going to be on each team's 23-man roster very soon. That being said, I went ahead and decided, all right, I'm going to just do the video with what we know now, and then we'll get to it when other names come out. The Chicago Blackhawks are in Germany. They flew out, I believe, on Thursday. Today, the Chicago Blackhawks are playing the Boston Bruins, but it's not the Chicago Blackhawks. Seriously, they should all be wearing Rockford Ice Hogs jerseys because that's who the Bruins are playing for their final tune-up game before the regular season. Bergeron's supposed to play, like the Bruins are putting out their roster. Yeah, this is one of those things that I'm thinking, who scheduled that? Who scheduled the Chicago Blackhawks to have a game today against the Bruins and tomorrow in Germany? Because that's insane. Anyways, scheduling aside, that game will be on at noon my time, 3 o'clock Eastern. The Colorado Avalanche are playing against Dallas. The Rangers are playing against the Islanders. Ottawa's playing against the Montreal Canadiens today. Buffalo's playing Pittsburgh. The Red Wings have a rematch with Toronto, where we're going to see a lot more NHL level players. The Toronto Maple Leafs have announced some cuts today, including Jeremy Bracco. Jeremy Bracco apparently is going to the minors. Florida's in against Toronto. Florida's in against Tampa. I want to say Toronto because they've played Tampa. How many? This is their third game against each other in the preseason, isn't it? That's insane. All Tampa and Florida are going to know is, well, we know how to play against each other. So, yeah, that's weird to me. The Battle of Alberta is on again tonight, Edmonton and Calgary. And I mean again because it's been going on for decades. And Arizona's going to be fighting it out against the Anaheim Ducks. So those are your games for today. Now for tomorrow, remember these are tomorrow's games. Washington's playing Carolina to finish up their preseasons. San Jose's playing against Vegas, and I mentioned this in last night's review. I'll mention it again here. San Jose and Vegas will play each other 3 times over the next week. St. Louis is against Columbus. The Winnipeg Jets are in against Minnesota, and as mentioned, Chicago's playing Eisbär in Berlin. So, yeah, that's tomorrow. And then on Monday, the Philadelphia, I believe it's Monday, the Philadelphia Flyers are playing in Lausanne. So, yeah, it's weird. Anyways, there you go. That's what's going to finish up all of these preseason games, and no more preseason previews. And then I get the brand new fangled boards out and some newfangled markers and all that other wonderful stuff for the regular season starting Wednesday. Toby Rieder has apparently signed a 1-year $700K contract. I've seen this reported in a couple of places, and yet I didn't see it on TSN or Sportsnet, but I've seen it reported enough that I believe that makes sense. And if we're wrong, then that happens, and that would be very sad. McDavid and Draisaitl debate has started already. I'm wearing my Oilers jersey here because honestly, this is ridiculous that we're already having this debate. Do the Oilers have enough scoring on the wings? No. That's why they made the Lucic for Neil trade, and they're hoping Neil bounces back. That's why Yurko's getting all kinds of attention for the points he put up in the preseason. They do not have enough offense on the wings. So the debate becomes this. If you break up Draisaitl and McDavid, and you have 3 lines, one line of McDavid in the middle, one line of Draisaitl in the middle, and one line of Nugent-Hopkins in the middle, do you score fewer goals but win more games? That's the question that gets asked. And I'll go ahead and answer for that Sportsnet article. It's tempting to keep throwing them together because the Oilers did win games when these guys were scoring together. McDavid and Draisaitl have an amazing affinity for one another on the ice, and so I really don't know that they're necessarily going to break that up. It's in their best interest to be able to do so, but notice they said to be able to, because they don't really have that winger who's going to be able to pot 30-35 goals playing on the wing for McDavid. Maybe then ends up being Neil. We'll see. But, of course, the Oilers would prefer to have four centers, which are McDavid, Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Riley Sheahan. That's not a bad top four down the middle. The problem is you look at the wings and you go, oh, boy, that's a problem. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And I've said that for a while, that Nugent-Hopkins is the number 3 center makes the most sense. And it's not as an insult to Nugent-Hopkins. It's just, boy, that makes your team really hard to play against. You look at teams that win Stanley Cups, you look at their center spot from 1 through 4, it's usually a pretty deep pool of talent down the middle. And with the way that they're doing the faceoffs this year, having extra centers is even more important now than ever. The QMJHL will retire the number 87 league-wide starting next year is what I was reading. So Rimouski retires his number, and cue the Alexis Lafreniere talk. Lafreniere, the expectations on this kid are huge. So he is expected to be the number 1, and you've got Sidney Crosby, of course, shining even more light on that. And retiring his number league-wide, I don't think there'd be that many kids wearing 87 anyways. So it's one of those things that it's this nice symbolic gesture that you make. And so it's good for Crosby and for the Penguins. And we'll see. We'll see if he has a really good year because he knows his number will never be worn again in the QMJHL. And the question will be asked, would I ever think the NHL would do that? The only number that's retired league-wide is Gretzky's, and I don't think that ever happens again. That being said, nobody in Pittsburgh will ever wear 87 again. Now, news articles I've added this morning. And these are just sort of sprinklings out there. Bruce Boudreau has said Victor Rask is basically not on the roster. They asked him about whether or not Victor Rask, where he fits in, and he said, with Mikko Koivu now showing that he's healthy, he's not in the top 4 centers. So read between the lines. If Rask is not in the top 4 centers for the Minnesota Wild, we may see him on waivers today, tomorrow, somewhere around then. And I don't think anybody touches Victor Rask on waivers. Not with the amount of money he makes. I don't think anybody's taken on that salary. I think Minnesota's been trying to move him since Guerin took over. Since before Guerin took over, probably. The Leafs making some headlines today for roster reasons. Schmaltz, so Jordan Schmaltz is on waivers. Ben Harper's on waivers. And Pontus Aberg as well. I don't know. Harper should clear, but it's the first name I've seen that I've said, you know what? Somebody might take a shot at him and put in a claim. Keep in mind that if your team makes a claim on Harper, you have to keep him in the NHL, because if you're going to say, well, we're just going to put him in the American League, you got to put him back on waivers, and then Toronto can take him back. Toronto gets first dibs at taking him back. But Harper's the first one I've seen that I say, yeah, I could see him being taken, that another team might say, you know what, we could see him as a number 6 or a number 7 for us, where Toronto doesn't see him. And that's a Rasmus Sandin move right there. That they have the depth to be able to waive these guys. That Sandin is staying. They're hedging on it, but Sandin's staying. I can't see him not being on the opening night roster. Devontae Smith-Pelly has been released by the Calgary Flames. So he did not survive the professional tryout. It takes another victim. And so Smith-Pelly, this may very well be the end for him. That could very well do it. That might be the end of his career, which would be unfortunate. But when you get those tryouts, you don't make it through the tryout, and you don't start the season on a team, that's probably going to be it for you. So there you go. That's the roster news as I have it right now. And those are the games that we're going to have played this weekend. Again, don't adjust your set. You're not going to see anybody on that Chicago roster who is likely to break opening night with the team against the Boston Bruins. So if there's a really ugly score at the end of that one, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it at all. In fact, I'd be more likely to be appalled if Boston doesn't win that game than if they win it like 6-0, 7-1, something like that. Because again, it's basically Chicago's minor league affiliate that Boston's playing against. And from what I've been reading, most of Boston's lineup is supposed to be the NHL ready one. And that's where things are different in these games from previous preseason days that we've had. that most teams are going to be playing their NHL rosters in these games. You're not going to see guys and go, wait, who's that? I never heard of that guy before. A lot of that's going to stop now. But and then we get into when we get into opening night, we get into, hey, it's a surprise this guy made it. And that's always a fun discussion to have. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching and for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.